Welcome to the Zach of All Trades podcast, where we dive into business, life, growth, and everything in between. I'm your host, Zach Rumfield, and here we're going to talk about the big dreams, the everyday grind, and the inspiration that pushes us forward. Whether it's chasing down your goals, learning from challenges, or exploring new ideas, this is a place for real conversations about building a better life and a better future. Let's get started. All right. Well, happy Friday, everybody. And it's not quite a happy Friday. I mean, not that anything has changed in my life or that anything is going bad in my life, but obviously, given the circumstances and what happened, a couple of days ago with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it has been a wild couple of days for Americans, for conservatives, for the world, really. I mean, we have had a crazy couple of days. Prior to that, we had, the brutal murder of the Ukrainian girl on that subway, and it's just been wild. And this is not a political podcast. We're not going to get into politics here, but just given the circumstances of what happened a couple of days ago, I thought it would be appropriate to at least speak about it. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Kirk was a young conservative influencer, activist. He was, you may have seen some of his social media content where he would go to universities and actually speak to the student body and kind of debate them. Now, I wasn't a huge follower. I followed him early on. I know my brother was a much bigger follower. I probably agreed with 90% of what he said. And there were some other things that I didn't necessarily agree on, but that's just life. And that's kind of that's just how it goes. You're not going to agree with everything everyone says. But nonetheless, he was, I would consider Charlie probably, a GOAT in terms of the younger generation conservatives. I mean, he was the most influential individual in that generation. I could argue that. And so, and obviously the video of the assassination is going around social media, and that was just brutal to watch. I was when I saw that for the first time, it was just a few hours after it had happened. I was literally shaking. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I don't think any American has. I can't think of in terms of this generation. The most parallel thing to that would have been JFK. And that was in the 60s. Like this was it was just terrible. It was awful. And I can't imagine his family. Yeah, I pray for him and for his family. It's been a wild couple days. And it moves me. I mean, it moves me seeing like that this is happening in our country. Yeah, I think he had to have been like the GOAT of the younger generation, conservative movement. I don't know who else would have been comparable to him. Maybe Nick Fuentes, but he's a little bit more niche. Yeah, I don't know. But it's been terrible. But it kind of goes into what I want to talk about today. And Charlie he stretched limits, and I mean that in the best way. What I mean by that is not necessarily in a political way. He stretched limits in terms of achievement and success and stretching um, living life to the fullest. He clearly at 31 years old, he had accomplished a lot, and that's kind of what I want to go into today. And I got my tea with me to start to keep me a little caffeinated because I haven't had much caffeine today. I got the organic Czar Nicholas, some sort of black tea. I got off Amazon. It's supposed to be pretty good. I liked it. It was called Czar Nicholas. Makes me feel really royal. I think it's organic. Maybe I'm drinking non-organic glyphosate riddled tea. I don't actually know. I need to look into that. I prefer organic. I try to eat everything organic, but with exceptions. I like to be social too. So, life is short, guys. Life is short. You only have so much time, and too many of us just go through life. And someone told me this one time, and I can't exactly remember who it was. Um, but they said that so many people are going through life. They're living, they're alive. They're alive, but they're not living. And I want you to think about that for a second. They're alive, but they're not living. They're not living their fullest life. A lot of times they're going through life numb, right? And that's just a concept of when you're not feeling fully yourself. You're not fully feeling yourself in terms of you know emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. And too many people are going through their entire life and they're not stretching limits. They're not stretching boundaries. They're not trying to be a better person in any way, shape, or form, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. All of the pillars of wellness. I think there's like 8 of them. I forget now. I think there's like 8 pillars of wellness. But I would say the main 4, right? The cornerstones, the corner pillars, that's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so, how many people do you know that are going through life right now and they are not stretching any of those? They're not stressing any of those. I mean, stressing in a good way. You stress, getting better. They're just there. They get up, they go to work, they come home, they take a nap for an hour, they watch TV, they cook dinner, they go to bed, and they repeat. How many people do you know that do that? That's not stretching limits. That's not living to the fullest. That is, in my opinion, that's a dead life. It is a numb life. And so we need to, if you're listening to this, I want to inspire you to stretch limits. What are you doing right now? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? If you're 20, I'm 26 right now. I'm 26 years old, and I always like to. One time I had a vision. I had a vision of myself when I was 40. Um, when I become 40, because it wasn't in the past. The vision was in the past, but I was looking into the future. And I think I was in the middle of breath work at the time. I can't exactly remember if I was in the middle of breath work or if I want to say I was almost driving somewhere, but nonetheless, I had a vision of myself, and I was about 22 at the time. I was 40 years old, and I was looking back at my current self, at my 22-year-old self. And I was thinking, you've got, what is that, 18 years? You got 18 years between that future representation of me and the 22-year-old at that present time. What are you going to do in these 18 years to impact this 40-year-old man's life? Where are you going to be? I want to know what I look like. What do I look like? What am I doing? Where am I in life? What you do between now and then is going to dictate where you are. It's going to dictate what you have, how you feel, where you are in life. I told myself, it should put it into perspective. I've got to stretch my limits. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job at it. There's definitely a lot more I can do, for sure. But you never know when it comes to an end. For example, Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, he had accomplished a lot. You know what? He was a Christian. He was a godly man. He had accomplished so much and impacted a lot of lives, made a few people mad, but that's not his fault. That's probably their fault. He had done a lot. And, if you could talk to Charlie Kirk right now in the afterlife, I bet he would be saying, you know what? I lived a good life. I lived by Christ. So, guys, we got to stretch our goals. We got to do something great in this life. What ideas do you have? What are you passionate about? What do you want to invent? Who do you want to help? Whose lives do you want to improve? Yourselves, number one, I hope. Because if we're not improving ourselves, if we're not improving our lives, we have no business improving somebody else's. Right? If a tree can't bear fruit, it can't feed anything. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, bettering yourself so that you can better others, impact the world. So, for example, I'm on this journey, kind of in like a between stage of I'm about to take over as the general manager of our health optimization studio that me and my fiance are the minority owners of. And I'm currently running the owner of this exterior home cleaning business that I started, which has been phenomenal, and it's one of the best moves I've ever made. I just I did this current thing just to like get by. I thought I was just gonna I'll just clean windows and power wash, and it turned into a full-fledged business. And now I'm like, I want to keep growing this thing. Like when I take over for our studio, Pause Studios is what it's called, I'm gonna be slammed. I mean, I'm gonna have so much to do to try and build the foundation of this business so that we can ensure we are successful and profitable. But I don't want to necessarily lose, I call it Shine Like a Diamond Exteriors. That's my exterior home cleaning business. I don't want to lose this business. It's such a great business. I mean, such a simple model, but it's so profitable. So what I have to do is find somebody that is capable of running it for me. So I'm doing this, and we have this studio going in, and this studio is just insane. It is so incredible what we have. We've got float. They call it sensory deprivation. We've got two float pods in the studio. We have four contrast rooms with infrared sauna and cold plunge in there. All of them are private suites. We have an LED light, photo biomodulation room. We have a cryo chamber that has its own private suite as well. And then we have IVs and vitamin shots, and we're doing like NAD plus. We have glutathione. We have the incredible retail space. I really like what we have for products, retail products. But granted, I've never ran anything like this. This is new to me. This is something I'm going to have to learn as I go. Luckily, it's a franchise and we have a lot of backing from corporate and from the other franchisees around the country. We can really bounce ideas off of each other, learn from one another. And we're not like one of the first ones that are opening, but we are in the beginning stages of the franchise. So, they're still making tweaks, learning stuff, yada, 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 whatnot. But nonetheless, it's just incredible. All of this stuff is inside a premium space. And I am just blessed to have this opportunity. I look back and I'm like, how did I even get here? How all of a sudden I'm a minority owner and general manager of a 1 point whatever $1 million studio that we're opening. How did I even get here? And I think back, like, if I was still in Corpus Christi where I was born and raised, I wouldn't be doing this. I don't know what I'd be doing. Probably working in the refineries, or no telling. There's no telling. The reason I'm here is because I stretched the limits. Number one of the first moves I made was to move out of Corpus, move out of my hometown, get out of where I lived my entire life. I knew nothing else. I had to start a new life, basically. I had to find something new. One of the best decisions I've ever made. Get out of your hometown. Not saying everybody needs to. I think it's great to leave your hometown to go see what else is out there. Much like it's great to travel the world. I love to travel. I love traveling the world. Hadn't been to a lot of places. Been to Mexico, been to England. I've been to Greece. I've been to, a lot of different parts of the United States. And I want to continue to, travel and see as much as I can of the world in this lifetime. But backing up again, first thing that I did was I moved out of my hometown. Second thing I did, second decision, was I made the leap to pursue something that I had never done before. I had never heard of. It just sounded like a good idea and a lot of fun. And that was when I pursued a ballroom dance career. I had never danced before. I didn't know how to dance. Honestly, reason that I even was able to pursue that was because the studio that was hiring dance instructors, I just started taking lessons there, and they said, you know what? You're pretty good with people. You're a good looking guy. Cause I am. And, you actually do move pretty well. You're a good dancer. And I was like, yeah, thanks. You're crazy. I've danced for a month. I don't know what I'm doing, but thanks. I appreciate that. And, granted, I was athletic. I was very kinesthetic. I, had a lot of focus on body mechanics because of baseball and because of, whatever else maybe had to do with a little bit of boxing that I had done at the time. Mostly baseball though. And and they were like, "Yeah, well, why don't you consider being a dance instructor?" And I was like, "I'm 22 years old. Why not? When I'm 40 years old, if I'm still doing the same damn thing as I was when I was 22 years old, I'm going to look back and think, well, I didn't stretch the limits." So I went for it. Went for it, became a dance instructor, started dancing professionally. And this is where my life took a turn in the right direction, I would say. It's just where a lot happened in my life, you know. I learned number one, I learned a skill I can have my entire life, and I'm pretty good at it at this point. I did it for about 3 years, and um, but side note, it was funny when I actually started ballroom dancing. Granted, I was a baseball player, college baseball player, and I was a hunter. I was a fisherman. Um, I was a country boy. The only thing I really listened to was like country and classic rock, like AC/DC. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. I just decided, like, hey, why not? Let's just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Oh my gosh, my parents liked to disown me when they found out that's what I was doing. They were they were not thrilled, at the least. I had a lot of people thinking, like, what are you ballroom dancing? What are you doing? Nobody understood. Nobody understood what it was. I didn't understand what it was when I first started. I didn't even know it existed. The industry even existed before I started ballroom dancing. And then I got in and I realized, like, it's very niche, but a very strong industry. And, when I got there, it wasn't just like, I mean, it was a legitimate business. We were in there learning sales. We were in there going over KPIs. We were in there, you know, learning different dance steps so that we could elevate our students and get them to get to a certain level of dance. Because once a student progresses to a certain level of dance, they are statistically more likely to be long-term students, 10, 15, 20 years. And that in turn is better for the business. Not that it was all about the business. It was had a lot to do with the students and impacting the students too. I think we could have done more not for the students. I think we could have done more for the actual staff and the instructors and whatnot. But you know, I learned so much about sales, about business, about talking with people. I met a lot of people, met a lot of really cool people that I still talk to this day. Made a lot of friends. I met, my business partners, the ones that I'm in business with right now, that we're doing the Pause Studios. If I hadn't taken that leap to go and be a ballroom dancer, I would never have met my business partners that I am in business with right now, opening this health optimization studio. But more importantly, I met my fiance. She was my dance partner. It was kind of like an arranged marriage. If you like an arranged marriage, it was an arranged partnership. She came from England. She's from England, and my manager told me, she was like, hey, you're gonna dance with the new English girl that's coming. And I was like, okay, is she cute? Like, yeah. I was like, okay, no big deal. And lo and behold, we're getting married now, and we're wanting to start a family together. And I never would have gotten any of that if I didn't just stretch those limits, go against the grain, go against the norm, go against society in a sort of way, or at least like kind of what I grew up in. Like, you'd never go to Corpus and like find anybody I grew up with that would be doing any of this unless they were stretching their limits, right? So now we're here. And now let me tell you again, the reason why we're here. So present time. Ballroom dance, met my business partners. How did that happen? It was because I was stretching my limits in entrepreneurial aspirations, if that's even proper grammar. I had run a couple of online businesses, and I just knew I wanted to run my own business, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to be a leader, and I wanted to be in charge of myself. And one of my favorite students at the time, no longer my student now, obviously, because I'm not teaching, my business partner. But I came to her and I was just talking with her about like kind of how things are going with my online business. I was like, you know what? I need a partner. Like I need somebody that fills my voids. I need somebody that is good at what I'm not. I need somebody that's going to allow me to that's going to help me hold me accountable. And yeah, I was just speaking my frustrations at the moment. I had no idea or intention or anything to go into business with this person. And I think it was a couple of months later, a couple of weeks later, she came to me and she was like, hey, do you want to start? Because we were both really into health and wellness and health optimization, biohacking, and stuff like that. And she was like, do you want to start a health and wellness studio where we offer like all this stuff? It was like, we can offer yoga and we can offer breath work, because I'm somatic breath work certified. And that was the business that I was running at the time online, was somatic breath work, online somatic breath work. And so she was like, yeah, we can have like even a cafe in there where we're selling like all clean and organic coffees and food, and we can have a gym, we can do breath work and sound bowl sessions. Anyways, yada yada yada. I was like, this sounds great, actually. So we just we just met up and we started kind of brainstorming. And then one day, not long after that, she sent me an Instagram of this Pause studio out of LA. Their corporate locations are out of LA. And I said, that's incredible. I mean, the marketing, the Instagram was just beautiful. Like they had the red lights, the blue lights, the aesthetics. It was just all amazing. I was like, we need to do something like that. And she goes, well, I got a call with the founders next week. I was like, oh shoot, this is happening. So, we flew out to LA a month later, something like that. Met the founders, and now here we are. And you know what? I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my business partners. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my fiance. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't stretching those limits. And granted, I'm nowhere yet. I'm nowhere. I haven't even started the dang business yet. And I'm in that direction. I don't want to sound like I'm some successful being. I'm not. What I'm successful at is I've stretched my limits and now I'm in the right direction. That's basically it. But what I'm getting at here is it all started because I decided to go outside of my comfort zone and stretch my limits and do something that I didn't think I could do. I didn't think it was even possible, and go against society's norms. So if you are, we're going to back this up now and stop talking about me for a second. If you want to do something, if you dream of something, if you have an idea, but what's stopping you is, well, nobody else is doing that. Well, some people might think that's crazy. Well, some people might judge me. You are not stretching your limits, because the people that are going to judge you are those ones that are they're living death. That's what they're doing. They're living numb. And when they see somebody doing something that's kind of cool, they're like, oh, what's that? What, you shouldn't be doing that. They're just going to complain because their life isn't going like they want it to go. So stop worrying about those people. I think that's what stops so many people is the worry of what others will think. Well, you know what? Because I wasn't worried about what others thought, I've met some pretty important people, pretty successful people that are very close to me now. I'm starting a business that I would never have been able to start in my life, not in my life, but in current times by myself. And then it ironically led to me opening another business. I opened another business because I just needed some cash. I needed to get by. I needed to pay bills. I was like, all right, I'll just go clean people's windows till this other one's open. And it's turned into a full on successful. People are calling me. They're seeing me on Facebook. Um, it's just proven to be great. Granted, I've been in both positions. Now we're gonna shift gears here for a second. I've been in both shoes where I started a business and I thought because I started a business and I had a website and I was going to put a few dollars into paid advertising that I just was going to open the valve. I was going to break the dam of customers flowing into my website, flowing into my business. And that was just it. That was because I did everything myself. I built my whole website. Everything. Didn't spend money on anything except because I didn't have any, except for like some advertising, a little bit. Not even enough. I thought I've done it. That's it. Pack your bags. We're going to Bali. We've made it. And nobody showed up. And nobody got on my website. Nobody ordered my glasses that I was selling. Nothing. Why? I thought they were just going to come. I thought if you build it, they will come. No. No, that's not what happened, and I ultimately closed it down. Granted, I was working about 70 hours a week with the dance stuff, and it's hard to do that and run a business on the side too. If I would have had more focus into it, maybe it definitely would have been more profitable. But I ultimately closed it down and spent way more than I wanted to spend and didn't get that money back. So that was those shoes. I was in those shoes. And then I was in the shoes of, hey, I've got to go generate my business. I got to go find people. And that was when I didn't have a plan. I didn't have equipment. I don't have a website. I had nothing. You know what I did though? I went and sold jobs. I went and told people I would do this for them, and then I would go get the equipment. My first job that I sold was a window cleaning job. I was knocking on people's doors, and at first I was knocking on like 20 doors a day. Like, okay, yeah, I was getting one job here and there. Okay, cool. Well, let's knock on 50 doors a day. Okay. So, well, let me back up one more time before I get into that. I sold my first job. I didn't have any equipment. I sold it, told them I'd be there tomorrow at 9 a.m. I went immediately to Home Depot and went and got the equipment to clean the windows. It was a single-story house, very old lady, super sweet. I still do jobs for her to this day. And so I just thought like, wow, this is incredible. I'd only knocked on like 10 doors at that time and got that sale. I was like, okay, well, why don't we knock on 50 doors? Why don't we knock on 70 doors, 80 doors? And so I tracked everything. I tracked all my metrics, wrote it all down. How many doors did I knock? How many conversations did I have, right? How many answered the door? How many quotes did I give? And how many sales did I make out of that? And I averaged all of it. I put them in percentages. I knew exactly what I needed to do, exactly how many doors I needed to knock in order to be profitable, to get jobs. And at first, it was about 1 in 50. And I started getting good. I started getting better. I started getting better. And I dropped it down to about 1 in 40. And then 1 in 35. And then 1 in 30. And I think now I'm kind of getting close to just in, from the start now, because it's all cumulative. If I broke it down into like months, I would probably be down, 1 in 20 now. But I think I'm at 1 in 20. I'm at a 3.6 conversion rate, I think, is the last that I checked. I'd have to go back and look now. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've door knocked because I haven't needed to. I've been so busy and booked up. People are reaching out to me now because why? I built that foundation at the start. I built the foundation by going out and generating my own business, not waiting for them to come to me. I went out and generated my business. I found people. I went and knocked on their doors and I built that foundation. And now in a short time, it's only been about 6 months. And granted, I know there's other problems I'm going to run into, other hurdles. There's things I haven't even considered yet, like paying taxes on this income. Haven't even gotten to that point yet. That's probably a whole nother story. But I built the foundation to a point where now I'm getting people in the neighborhoods that I can't knock in because it's a no solicitation area. I have to have a permit for it and yada, yada, yada. Don't knock on anybody's on the no soliciting. Okay, you know what? I was like, I don't want to get fined, in trouble, whatever. I've got plenty of doors I can knock on that will keep me busy. But I got my break, got a job in what they call it, the villages, got a job in the villages. These are the big houses, like the multi-million-dollar homes. I got a job, then I got another job, then I got another job, then I got another job. And it's all referrals because of Facebook or neighbors or whatever. All you need is your foot in the door. Do a good job. Build the foundation. That's the most important thing. It talks about it in the Bible. It talks about sowing your seed in good soil. The foundation is so important. And so I was in those shoes. I'm in those shoes right now, right? And so it's just been, I've learned a lot from this short, what am I, 26 now? I started this when I was like, let's say 22. It's been a 4-year stint. Whoop-de freaking do. 4 years is nothing. But the point of it is my trajectory is where I want it to be. I can see where I'm going. I've seen what I've done, where I've come from, and where I'm going to go. It's going to be uphill, exponential, right? Obviously not uphill the whole way, but you get my point. I'm stretching the limits. I'm doing cool things. I'm happy about that. I'm excited about that. And I want you to have that feeling. I want you to do that too. It's the coolest feeling ever whenever you finally do something that is successful. It's the coolest feeling ever. And it's even cooler when someone reaches out to you and says, dude, what you're doing is so inspiring. Can you give me some tips? I want to do it too. That's freaking cool. That is so cool. It's a great feeling when you can help others. Help yourself first, though. Got to help yourself first. Got to better yourself first. Nobody goes to the bum on the street for advice. Don't be the bum on the street. Don't be the living dead. Living Dead? Walking Dead? That's a TV series. Don't be the living dead. I'm going to start calling it the walking dead. Those are those people. Those are the ones that are just going through life that are not doing jack to better themselves in any way. Even if they were doing something that was, they did have that they got up and went to work and whatever day, but they did something like they went to yoga 3 times a week. They worked out, they were in shape. Those are all good things. But I'm talking about those people that don't do anything to better themselves. That's the people I'm talking about. Don't listen to those people. Don't worry about what they say. Doesn't matter. They're bumps. Hate to say it, but they are. And maybe you're that person. Maybe you need to be woken up and go and do something. Go and stretch the limits. So, anyways, that's my rant for today. Stretch the limits. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. He stretched the limits. That's what he did. He did great things. He inspired a lot of people. I bet if you went and talked to him right now, asked him what he thought about his life and what he did with his life, he'd be like, you know what? I did a pretty damn good job. When it's all over, it's all over. So live the fullest. Live, because you never know when the end you never know when the end is. So every day, live like it's your last. They talk about that in Stoicism. I believe it's called amori fati. I think amori fati is it's basically like the idea of death is always near. Everyone's gonna die. I think that's what it is. Everyone dies. You're gonna die. I don't know. It's Latin, I think. Basically, it's the reassurance that you are going to die. Everyone is going to die. So live to the fullest. Live the best life. Do things that are outside of society's norms. Stretch the limits. Do something crazy with your life. People are always like, oh, you need to go to college and really get a good job and make sure you know what? Sorry, but screw that. My parents still tell me to this day, you need to go back to college and get your degree. For what? So I can go work for somebody? So I can work away my life for a minimal amount that has a ceiling? In other words, you can't make more than, that minimal amount? No way. Get a good job. Get a corporate job. No, I'm going to do something cool with my life. Sorry. I'm going to go and stretch my limits. So, anyways, live life to the fullest, guys. Stretch your limits. Thanks for listening to the Zach of All Trades podcast. Kind of like that name, Zach of All Trades podcast. Let me know what you think about that name, by the way. Let me know what you think about the Zach of All Trades podcast. I'm not sure if I'm set on it or not, but that's what we're going with for now. Thanks for listening, guys. Peace out.